What's going on, everybody? It's GameUnboxingReviews here, and welcome back to another LEGO Marvel Super Heroes 2 video. So in today's video, I'm going to show you guys how to create Andrew Garfield's Vigilante Suit from the Amazing Spider-Man. Now, this video was meant to tie in with the film's 6-year anniversary yesterday, but unfortunately, I just didn't have enough time to record, edit, and upload the video before the end of the night, so I do apologize for the delay. But anyway, happy 4th of July to all my friends across the pond, and without further ado, let's get to it. Alright, so like I did in the Human Spider video, what I thought would be a cool way of opening the video is by showcasing my custom-made Peter Parker inspired by the actor. So obviously in the Human Spider video, the Peter Parker was inspired by Tobey Maguire, and in this video it's inspired by the Andrew Garfield version of Peter. And I think it looks pretty cool, you know, it's got the hair and everything on point. I mean, the hair is the same piece for the default Peter Parker in LEGO Marvel Super Heroes 1 and 2. I mean, that looks more like Andrew Garfield than what I've made here, to be honest, but still I think it looks pretty good. The clothes was the thing that was bothering me the most because I was really wanting to get some unique clothes that looked more like how he dressed in the movies, but there wasn't really anything like that, so I kind of had to improvise on the clothes. But again, I still think it looks pretty cool, and it's fun to swing around as this version of Peter Parker in Chronopolis. So anyway, let's get started and actually suit him up. So first off, the hair. We obviously don't need any hair, so we're going to remove that. Then for the headpiece, now this is the thing that I need to explain. So obviously, LEGO Marvel Super Heroes 2, it has a great customizer, but it does have its limits, and there are, unfortunately, you know, not all the pieces we want there. Some head pieces you just kind of have to deal with, basically. They don't always have the same eyepiece and the same, you know, colors and everything that you want, so you kind of have to choose something that just works. And for the mask for the Vigilante Spider-Man suit, obviously in the movie it had sunglasses, and there isn't anything like that in this customizer, so the headpiece that I think works pretty good is Koi Boy. Now you're probably thinking, what? How does Koi Boys? Well, he's wearing glasses, and I guess, you know, they look a bit more like Morpheus than Spider-Man, but if you change the skin red and you zoom it out, it kind of looks like Vigilante Spider-Man. You know, it's not perfect. The sunglasses don't look exactly like his, but you can see, you know, with a hat on top and you're swinging around and everything, it'll look pretty good. Again, it's not perfect, but it's the best you can do. Although when LEGO DC Supervillains comes around, I believe you'll be able to take a face, make it look blank, and then add some sunglasses, and then you'll be able to make a perfect Vigilante Spider-Man. That is if swinging is even in that game, but for now, this is the best we can do. So anyway, moving on, once you've done that, you want to go to, where should we go next? I guess we'll go to helmets, because in helmets we want a hat. Now, originally, when I had this idea in mind, even before LEGO Marvel Super Heroes 2 came out, I was going to go straight away for the woolly hat, and I was going to make it black. But I actually think that this is much better and more accurate to how it looks in the film. So you want to go for the beanie. I think that looks pretty cool. And again, obviously, you want to make sure that it is this black right here, not this dark grayish color. You want to make sure it is this black. All right, awesome. So for the hands, they are already the skin tone that we need, so we're just going to leave them. He didn't wear any gloves during that scene in the movie where he wore the Vigilante Spider-Man suit, so we're just going to leave the hands like that. Then for the arms, you're just going to make them black, like this, which is at the top here. For the hips, you want to make them, I believe it's Spider-Man Noir we want, because that's got a belt. And, you know, I had to freeze frame that scene in the movie so many times to get the costume as accurate as possible. And he is wearing a belt, I believe, so we are going to add that. And it's the Spider-Man Noir belt, which is this one right here. Cool. The pieces have all been moved around because the Ant-Man and the Wasp DLC pack has come out, so it's added more pieces. So where I'm usually looking for the pieces, they're not actually there because they've been moved a bit. That's why I'm struggling to find some of these. So yeah, you want Spider-Man Noirs, which looks like that. Pretty cool. Then for the legs, you just want to make them black, which is this one right here. There we are. And then for the torso, I would just go with Nick Fury's. I think Nick Fury's looks pretty good. I mean, there's a lot you could choose from. I mean, I'll show a few examples as to what you could choose. There you can see that's Ra's Malhotra's torso from the new Ant-Man and the Wasp DLC. You could maybe choose that one, maybe? I don't know about that one, actually. See, that's the one we want. I think that looks really cool. You know, the more I play as this version, even though it's got a mouth and you can kind of see the wrinkles, it's still kind of cool to be able to swing around as a Lego Vigilante Suit Spider-Man. So it doesn't bother me too much, and hopefully it won't bother you guys either. But if we scroll down, you can see there's this one as well, there's this one. So there's a few you could choose from. You could even go with that maybe. But for me, I think Nick Fury's looks the best. So we're going to go with that one, because that looks pretty awesome. Alright, cool, so that is the design complete. Now we can move on to the fun part, which is, of course, the abilities. So, let's see here. Passive abilities. Now, I'm not going to give a grapple, because I believe when you know, give a character web swinging, they have the grapple ability anyway, I think. So, we're just going to leave that alone. Obviously, we're going to give him wall climbing. We'll give him techno access, because he is clever. Mind control, magic, deflect, crack Lego walls, yes. Fix it, yes, we'll give him that. Won't give him Vine Cut, no time manipulation. Super strength, definitely. Rune tracing, no. Portal create, no. Tracking, yes. Teleport, no. Dig, no. Yeah. I mean, I know it's kind of pointless if he can track but can't dig, but you don't see him digging in the movies, so I don't think that would really make any sense. So we'll just leave that. Then for tap square, I think, yeah, we'll just have fighting. I don't think there's anything in there we really need. So we'll go fighting. Targeted lunge, yeah, why not? We'll have that. And then for tap circle, the problem is you can't shoot webs with the bolts. I really hope in LEGO DC Supervillains, even though I know it's DC and everything, I really hope that you can shoot projectiles that look like webs and they sound like webs, because with this game it didn't have that. You know, we're going to choose both hands if we are doing this, and you see, you know, there's this electric bolt, there's another kind of electric bolt, there's that flame one, and then there's the arrows. And I've seen people have started using the arrows more than more than this or anything. It would be cool if you could change the arrows to look like webs, but it's just, there's nothing like that, unfortunately. So, yeah. Kind of annoying. I guess I'm just going to leave it blank, because to me it just looks weird when he's shooting magical abilities as Spider-Man, whether it's, you know, bow and arrows from his hands, not bow and arrows, just arrows from his hands, or, you know, electrical bolts from his hands. It just looks weird, so I don't really like to choose anything for bolts. So we're just going to leave that alone. Stealth, I don't think we need that. Shrink, quick teleport, no, I think we're good there. And I think, yeah, they're all fine as well. So while, you know, he's not going to be the most useful character in combat, you know, the main purpose behind making this is just for the costume, just to swing around the city and just have fun, basically. So it's not really a character that's going to be used as a useful character. It's just for a bit of fun. But for double tap X, of course you want web swinging, so you want to toggle that, and usually the default is the Spider-Man web swinging, but just make sure it's active anyway. So you can see web style 1 there. It looks pretty cool, I think. I don't think we need to change the color of the web or anything. It should just be white. Yeah, I think white's perfect. You don't really need to change anything there. And for hold, should we have a hyper jump? Yeah, why not? We'll have hyper jump. Yeah, we'll give him that. And that's pretty much it for the abilities. Now we can move on to the passive traits. So for the health icon, we'll go with red. For the health type, go with standard. Voice, just choose any male voice out of the 3. I'm just going to keep it on voice 1. Movement speed, we'll go with default. And then for the target reticle, obviously you want this web right here, which looks really, really cool. Okay, so we've done the appearance, the abilities, the passive traits. We do not need any weapons. Now we just need to name him and choose a background image. So what can we actually name him, I wonder? Vigilante Spider-Man? Will that work, do you think? Let's try it. Vigilante. And then Spider-Man. Don't worry, I'm not going to forget the hyphen. I just don't know if this is going to fit. Vigilante Spid. Okay, I'll tell you what, I'll just call him Vigilante, because it saves time. Spidey won't even fit there, so we'll just put Vigilante. We know it's Spider-Man, but we'll just call him Vigilante. And then for the background image, I think that's the perfect one to choose. I mean, everything else doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. If we just go through them real quick. Yeah, so we'll just stick with that. We'll stick with the Noir City, because that looks pretty cool. Alright, cool. So now, of course, what we're going to do is drop Vigilante Spider-Man into the Chronopolis HUB World and see just what he can do. And And here he is. This is, of course, my custom-made Vigilante Suit Spider-Man made in LEGO Marvel Super Heroes 2. Let's just get a good look at him right here. Looking very, very cool indeed. You know, like I said, I do wish that it didn't have the wrinkles in the mouth and everything like that, but when you zoom it out, you can barely see it. And besides, you're going to be playing like this most of the time. Or, you know, like this if you're not swinging. You're barely going to see the face, really, unless you're really trying to. So, it's not that much of a big deal. And I think that's one of the exciting things, though, about LEGO games moving forward. Is, you know, this customizer, it's great. And I'm still enjoying it now. I'm still finding ways to make characters that I couldn't even think of before. But it's going to improve. And we can see from LEGO DC Supervillains that we're going to be able to do so much more. Like I said before, you know, you could take a headpiece, make it look blank, and then just add some sunglasses and then a black outfit, and hopefully if there is swinging, you'll be able to make a perfect Vigilante Suit Spider-Man. But for now, this is the best we can do, and I still think it looks pretty cool. So anyway, what can he do? Well, he can attack snowmen like this, and he can also target lunge, which we'll do right here. I didn't give him any other abilities, of course, because I just think it looks weird seeing him shoot bolts or arrows or something from his hands. I know it's like a substitute for webs, but to me it just looks strange, so I don't like doing it. And of course, he can also climb walls and hyper jump like this, and web swing. So it's pretty cool. So let's actually go fight some crime, and we'll chat about the Amazing Spider-Man franchise. But before that, I've completely forgot to showcase another part. So what I thought, instead of, you know, teaming Spider-Man up, Vigilante Spider-Man, with just any old character, I thought I'd make another character from the Amazing Spider-Man franchise. And here is Captain Stacy. This is Dennis Leary's Captain Stacy from the Amazing Spider-Man 1. And I'm honestly really impressed with how good this turned out. I mean, it actually looks really good. Dare I say it, better than Vigilante Spider-Man. And he's actually a lot of fun to play as well. You know, he can shoot his gun, he can punch and everything. So it's pretty cool. Seeing these two together, it does kind of look like, you know, the Amazing Spider-Man, which is awesome. Yeah, right, so let's go fight some mummies, even though that didn't happen in either of the movies. Right, take care of this guy. I think there's one round the corner. There he is. Alright. Punch. Punch. And then, so in the Amazing Spider-Man 1, you know, we see the lizard shooting his shotgun. The lizard shooting his shotgun? Sorry, no. We see Captain Stacy shooting his shotgun at the lizard. So, let's see Captain Stacy shooting his pistol at this giant mummy. He can defeat him for us. Hey, did it. Nice. Awesome.
Look like something big.
Alright, so the Amazing Spider-Man movies, what do I think of them? Well, the Amazing Spider-Man 1 I actually love. I really do think that is a great Spider-Man movie. I thought, you know, I had to tell a story though, because I remember when Spider-Man 4 was cancelled, and it was like the worst day ever, because it was Spider-Man 3, that was in 2007, and I think after that, it went very quiet. There wasn't really any news, at least from what I can remember, for Spider-Man in terms of movies. It was just super quiet. And then, you know, I think they did say they were going to do a Spider-Man 4, and I think it was set for release in 2011. And it was just strange because ever since 2002, you know, you've grown up with seeing Spider-Man all over the place. Spider-Man was everywhere. He's in toys, video games, movies. You could never escape Spider-Man. Just like now, I think it's back to that way it was in 2002. Spider-Man's everywhere now thanks to the MCU, which is awesome. But after Spider-Man 3, it just went super quiet. So I think in 2011, that was the year Spider-Man 4 was supposed to come out. And I think in the January of that year, that was when they announced, no, we're not doing it anymore. It's been cancelled, but we are doing a reboot. And, well, no, I think they announced the reboot sometime after that. But the thing is, even though I was really annoyed by the fact that we'd never see Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man on the big screen again, that we'd never see another adventure in that universe, I was still just so grateful to know that we were going to see Spider-Man on the big screen again. Because it just, to me, it just felt so weird not having him there anymore. Like, you had all these movies coming out, like X-Men and things like that, continuing to move on, and Spider-Man was nowhere to be seen, and that was just strange. So just knowing that Spider-Man was returning was exciting to me. And then Andrew Garfield, he was revealed to be, you know, Peter Parker. He was revealed to be the Spider-Man of that of those movies. And I remember when he was announced, he looked super young, and I was really happy about that because obviously Spider-Man, you know, the greatest stories are when he's young. And you know, I'm not the kind of person that likes to judge an actor before they you know, before they do the role, because I don't think that's fair. I think they should all get a chance first before they get judged, because you know, you don't know how that person's going to play the character until you actually see it. We can only take the director's word for it that they are good for the role, and then you have to wait until the movie comes out. But I saw Andrew Garfield, you know, when it was announced, and I saw that, yeah, I could see, I think he was going to be good. I was excited, and I found out, you know, he was a big fan of Spider-Man and everything, and that's always great to hear. When you hear that the actor is a big fan of the character, you kind of feel a bit more reassured when you hear that, because it means they care about what they're about to do. They care that they've got a huge responsibility in bringing this character back to the big screen. So, you know, I try not to judge an actor before they take on the role. I mean, even Jared Leto as Morbius, I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure if that is the right role for Jared Leto. But I'm still going to give him a chance. I'm still going to give him a chance because hopefully, you know, he will have a... he will be a good Morbius, and I'm kind of excited about where those movies might end up, you know, whether it's to do with Maximum Carnage or something to do with Demogoblin, but that's another story. So anyway, back to The Amazing Spider-Man. So, what happened after that? I'm trying to think. So after Andrew Garfield was cast, you know, I don't think there was really much news after that, but there was a point where I think Sony released the first look at his costume, and he had his head down, if I remember correctly, and the suit was all ripped, and there was like claw marks on it, and I think at the time we did know Lizard was going to be the villain in the movie, and yeah, there was like claw marks on it, and that was really exciting because it was like, oh my god, like not Vulture, this isn't Spider-Man Homecoming, you know, it was really crazy because it was like, oh my god, look at that massive claw mark on his chest, like Lizard is really going to give it to him in this movie, which was pretty exciting to know because it might be quite dark, it might be quite full-on, like in terms of action, and it was exciting to see that. And I remember there was so many mixed reports about the suit. I remember people being like, you know, is that it? Like, that's the suit? Is that a proto suit? I remember so many people didn't like it. Me personally, I love it. I actually really like the Amazing Spider-Man 1 suit. I think it's really cool. It's not my favorite. My favorite Spider-Man suit of all time is probably Tobey Maguire's. You know, whether it's... I know that all three of them are, well, not counting the black suit. The 2002, 2004, I think it's 2004, and 2007 suits, they have had little changes here and there, but in general, that is probably my favorite Spider-Man suit because it's so nostalgic, and I seriously hope it's in Spider-Man PS4. But still, I actually really like Andrew Garfield's Amazing Spider-Man 1 suit, and I remember when it was revealed, and people were trying to piece together what else would be added to the suit, because like I said, his head was down, so there was no mask. You know, you couldn't see what the mask was going to look like. We didn't see what the eyes were going to look like and things like that. And I remember people designing like photoshopped images. They added their own mask. It had big eyes. Some people added a belt to him, which looked really cool, which funny enough actually ended up in the Amazing Spider-Man video game. So that was cool. That was like a cool time because the hype for Spider-Man was real back then. You know, it was so cool to know that he was coming back to the big screen and everyone was sharing their theories and ideas and things. It was just really, really cool time. And I remember there's, you know, the scene in the movie.
While I was gone, did you?
He was talking to me.
Only I came back and he wasn't here anymore.
Okay. Yeah, there was that. If you remember in the movie, there is the scene where he goes after the carjacker and he's like, really? You think I'm a cop in a skin-tight red and blue suit? You have a mind of a true scholarship. I think that's what he says. Yeah, so that scene in the movie, and then he's obviously running away from the police. There was loads of set photos of that were released online. I remember seeing them, and it gave us a great look at the suit and the mask and everything. And that was the time where I got really excited about the costume, because I thought it looked awesome. And then...
Share, subscribe.
You heard them.
Share, subscribe.
Yeah, you know, that was... that was a really cool time because you got a really great look at the suit and the mask and everything. It just looked awesome. And then I think we got some set photos of the Vigilante suit, funny enough. And I remember getting so excited about that because I'm a huge fan of Spider-Man movies when they give him a proto suit. I love proto suits. I love seeing suits that Spider-Man wears before, you know, he's in his prime. And whether it's the human spider, the Vigilante suit, or the homemade suit from Homecoming, you know, it's cool. And while that scene was short in the movie, I love that part of the film. It's just really, really awesome. So yeah, that was a cool look at the Vigilante suit at the time in those leaks. You probably get a better look at that suit if you look at those set photos than the actual movie, to be honest. I mean, yeah, because you don't see a whole lot of that suit in the film, unfortunately, but it's still cool. And then what happened after that? Because I can't really remember the trailers that well. I remember, I think the first trailer, didn't that debut on IGN? And it was the first person one, and everyone was like, oh look, a first person Spider-Man game. Yeah, that suit, that trailer that dropped showed all the first person stuff. I remember that was really cool. And I think there was a scene that showcased, a trailer that showcased the best scene in the movie, you know, the crane scene. That scene is amazing, by the way. The way the cranes line up, because, you know, because Peter saved that guy's son. That was amazing. The music, just dun 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 dun, like that. It's just perfect. I absolutely love that scene in the film. Now, going back to the trailers of The Amazing Spider-Man, I remember one of them, I think, showcased the ending of the movie, basically. I mean, you saw Lizard and Spider-Man fighting on top of Oscorp Tower. You know, you saw the lizard gas being launched into the air. It really did spoil exactly what happens at the end. If it didn't, you know, spoil it, you could easily just piece it together by looking at other trailers. And it's annoying when you can do that, you know. But it's quite funny because we've got Venom coming out this year, and for once, let me just take care of these guys first. Okay, that didn't work for some reason. I don't know why. Go on, Captain Stacy. Oh, got there before you. Nice. And I went through that wall for some reason.
Thank goodness you came along.
Yeah, so with Venom, it's funny because that's coming out this year, and we've barely seen anything of Venom in that movie. There's literally just one scene of Eddie fully as Venom that we've seen in the trailers, and that's either a good thing or a bad thing. It could be a good thing, because maybe Sony are wanting to keep all the Venom scenes as a big surprise for when people actually go see the film in October. Or it could be a bad thing to suggest that Venom isn't even in it a lot, and that that's just a way of getting people to go see it. That's the kind of worrying thing about the Venom movie. You hope that he's in it a lot, but he might not be. So we'll have to see. I've never seen that many of Kang's guards all in one area. Oops, sorry. My bad. But yeah, but I think what's interesting about Venom is I like to think, I'm hoping that the reason they're not showing Venom in the Venom movie trailers enough is because they are keeping him as a surprise, and that makes me think that maybe Sony have learned from their mistakes. You know, I think even if you go back to Spider-Man 3, that probably showed off a few spoilers. But you know, the Amazing Spider-Man, the Amazing Spider-Man 2, and even Spider-Man Homecoming, all those trailers showcased far too much of the film that you didn't want to see. I mean, I remember when Spider-Man Homecoming came out last year, I avoided, I think, the second or third trailer. I didn't want to see any more. I thought it was showing way too much of the film, and I was happy with what I'd seen. I was looking forward to the surprise. Granted, you know, when I actually went to see it, it still had lots of surprises, which was really great to know. But there was still a lot of spoilers, and that shouldn't be in trailers. It really shouldn't. And actually, that's why I kind of like what Marvel do now, where they put fake scenes in the trailers. That might be a bit controversial, but I thought it was really clever what they did with Avengers Infinity War, because a lot of people had theories, none of them turned out to be right, and that was great. It's great knowing that when you go into a comic book movie, you don't know what's going to happen. You know, I would hate that. I would hate to go into a movie and be like, okay, this movie's based on a comic, I know exactly what's going to happen. What's the point in seeing it? I'd rather not know what's going to happen, and I think that's one of the great things that Marvel has done with their marketing, their fake marketing with Avengers Infinity War. And you'll likely see the same thing from Avengers 4, so do not believe everything you see in those trailers. But anyway, going back to The Amazing Spider-Man, so we've talked about the trailers, let's actually talk about some other scenes. So I said the crane scene, that's brilliant. Few other scenes that I like. I mean, there's a lot of great scenes in The Amazing Spider-Man. I'm trying to think. I really like the Stan Lee cameo. I think that's hilarious. You know, any cameo with Stan the Man, it's always entertaining to watch. But when they're funny, it's particularly great to see. I mean, that's a hilarious cameo because you see him and, you know, he's listening to classical music and he's doing his work or something. And Spider-Man and the Lizard are fighting in the background. I mean, it's just brilliant. It's such a funny such a funny cameo. I love that scene so much. Two other scenes that I really like that are very similar is I love it when we see Peter Parker having fun with his powers in these movies. You know, we're seeing a lot of that from Tom Holland's portrayal of the character. I particularly love that scene in Spider-Man Homecoming where, you know, he's watching the clock, he's waiting for school to end so he can jump over the gates, run into the nearest alleyway, and then suit up as Spider-Man and see how the neighborhood is doing and see if he can help out. I mean, that is one of the coolest scenes in that movie. And in The Amazing Spider-Man, there's two scenes that are similar to it. There's the one where Peter is on top of that building and he's doing a handstand and, you know, he's removing one finger from the other and just trying to see how good his balance is. I mean, it looks like he's having fun to me. And then he falls off and I think he goes woo or something. I might be mixing that up with another scene. I could be wrong, but I think it's something like that, yeah, and I love that scene because it shows he's having fun, you know, diving off the side of a building. I mean, imagine if you could do that with no consequences. It would be exhilarating, to be honest. It really would. And then, obviously, there's the other scene, which I think more showcases Peter having fun with his powers, and it's the one where he's training, you know, he's I think he's at the docks and he's doing a bit of skateboarding here and there, but he's also like swinging on the chains, and that's really cool because it's nice foreshadowing of what's to come of him becoming Spider-Man. I thought that was really clever, so I definitely like that scene as well, and I really hope we start to see more of this in Spider-Man movies moving forward. I mean, I love seeing Peter Parker having fun being Spider-Man, and I think with Spider-Man Far From Home, you know, we're going to see him in different countries and things, and he's going to be having a good time. I think it would be great to see him having a good time as Spider-Man in these countries. Even if he's fighting a villain like Mysterio, he's going to be the villain in the movie, which I'm so excited about. I really hope he has fun and makes fun of his fishbowl if he has one. I really hope he has a fishbowl. Or something practical, you know, that doesn't look cheesy. Just whatever. I just hope Mysterio is done well, because I adore that character. But yeah, I just hope we see more of Peter Parker having fun being Spider-Man. And that's pretty much it. I mean, we'll swing around a little bit more, but I've kind of covered everything. I talked about, you know, how I felt when, you know, this movie was first announced and everything. I've talked about some of my favorite fight scenes. I guess I could talk about the cast. I mean, I thought Uncle Ben and Aunt May were very good for, you know, for the movie. I thought for the Amazing Spider-Man franchise, they were both brilliant. But for me, there's only one Uncle Ben and one Aunt May, and that's Rosemary Harris. You know, Aunt May and Uncle Ben from the original Spider-Man movies were perfectly cast. And every time I think of, you know, Uncle Ben or Aunt May, it's them two. It's always them two. It never won't be, to be honest. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm loving, you know, the Aunt May in Spider-Man Homecoming, and I enjoyed, I think it was Sally Field in The Amazing Spider-Man. I've enjoyed all of that. I really have, but you just can't beat the original trilogy, Aunt May and Uncle Ben for me. I'm sorry, you just can't. But for Peter Parker, I thought Andrew Garfield was a brilliant Peter Parker because it was so different. It was a young Peter Parker. He was cool, and I really like that about it. I mean, it was interesting to see him be so cool. I mean, thing is, he wasn't cool in the sense that he was the cool kid at school. He was cool to me, but he was still an outcast. You know, people weren't really wanting to be his friends. He got girls to do his homework instead of going out with them. The girls got him to do their homework, you know, and he thought they were going to go out with him, and they weren't. You know what I'm talking about at the beginning of the movie. So he was still an outcast, but to the audience, he was cool. He was a skateboarder. He looked awesome. He had great hair. I mean, he was just a cool guy. And I think Andrew's Peter was particularly entertaining to watch when he was on screen with someone else, whether it was Emma Stone. I mean, Emma Stone as Gwen Stacy was fantastic. I really wish that Sony would bring her back someday and we could have a Spider-Gwen movie, because I don't even care if it's not connected to the Amazing Spider-Man. It could be an alternate universe to that universe for all I care. But I just think they should do that because she is fantastic as Gwen Stacy. And seeing her as Spider-Gwen would be really interesting. But yeah, I mean, the chemistry between Andrew and Emma as Peter and Gwen was insane. It was absolutely amazing. I mean, if it weren't for their chemistry, those scenes would be nowhere near as good as they were. Still to this day, it's just great to see Peter and MJ interacting like that. And I mean, the scene where Peter is arguing, you know, with Uncle Ben about, you know, where's his dad and everything, that's also a great one where he smashes the door. You know, all of those are great. And I'll tell you what, I really like the Flash Thompson in that movie, and I'll tell you why. It's because it was really cool to see Flash evolve through the film, because you start off and he's this jerk and he's beating this guy, you know, I think he's wanting to take a picture, or Peter to take a picture of this guy getting hurt. I mean, it's not nice. It's just, he's being a real jerk. But then later on, Uncle Ben dies, and he seems really sympathetic to Peter, and Peter obviously puts him against the wall because he's like, not now, Flash. He's like, I just want to talk, and he's you know, he's showing that he cares, that he's sorry that his uncle died. And I thought after that he would just go back to being a jerk, but he didn't. He didn't. At the end of the movie, he's got the Spider-Man shirt, and he's like, you're coming along, Parker, and it was just, they're kind of becoming a bit more friendly, and that was cool. And it was just cool to see Flash go from this bully, this, you know, this stupid bully, to kind of become a friend to Peter. And it was a real shame to not see more of that in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. I would have really liked to have seen more of Peter and Flash's friendship, because I thought that was an interesting twist, and I really liked that. It was cool to see Peter's bully, you know, evolve and kind of become more sympathetic through just one film. I thought that was really cool. Who else am I missing? Rhys Ifans as the Lizard. Apologies if I got that name pronunciation wrong, but I thought he was good. I mean, thing is it Dylan Baker that played Dr. Connors in Spider-Man 2 and Spider-Man 3? I think it was. I'll always wish that he was the Lizard that we got, you know, because they were leading up to it, and that character development leading up to the Lizard would have been so cool. It would have been so rewarding, you know, getting to see Dylan Baker's Dr. Connors become the Lizard from Spider-Man 2 all the way up to, I don't know, what was it, 4, 5, whatever movie they were planning to introduce the Lizard. That would have been amazing to watch. There's actually some concept art online of what he was going to look like as the Lizard, or at least, you know, like a potential design, and it's absolutely terrifying. I'm telling you right now, if you ever find that, it is absolutely terrifying. You will hate the sight of it, and that really makes me wish it happened more and more, because Lizard should be terrifying. It's a dude that becomes a man lizard. It should be horrifying. I thought the Lizard design in The Amazing Spider-Man was good. It was fine, but I've always wanted the big dinosaur head, you know, that kind of Lizard. I from like the animated series, I love that design. I really wanted that. And if we ever see Lizard on the big screen again, I hope it's more like that, because for me, that is the Lizard that I want to see on the big screen. But the Lizard they had lined up for Spider-Man 4 or 5 or whatever it was going to be is terrifying. It's really scary. And it makes me wonder if they were going to mess around with the age rating a little bit. Maybe push it just a little more to make it a bit darker. I always find that the Spider-Man 1 fight scene between Peter and Green Goblin, that is really brutal. And I would have loved to see something like that between Spider-Man and Lizard in one of Sam Raimi's movies. But yeah, I thought Rhys Ifans was a good Dr. Connors, and I think, you know, him and Andrew on screen, they had great chemistry as well, you know, going back and forth. I thought it was good. It was cool to see, you know, little bits about Peter's family and things. I know a lot of people didn't like that. They thought it was unnecessary, and I totally understand that. You know, you go to see a Spider-Man movie about Peter Parker and his enemies. You don't really go to learn about how Richard Parker became a spy and stuff like that. It was actually kind of weird, because it felt so much like, you know, Peter's parents being S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, and it felt like it was leading up to them becoming S.H.I.E.L.D. agents. But then you think, well, wait a minute, they don't have the rights to that, so what actually are they? We never got to that point, unfortunately. But yeah, I think Rhys Ifans, and I think Peter's parents and everything, I thought that was all good stuff. I did think it didn't need to be retread again in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. I mean, I know we see a little bit more of that, but the movie practically begins, if I remember correctly, the second movie practically begins exactly the same way as the first one, and I always found that very, very strange. It's like different camera angles and everything. I didn't get that at all, but yeah. Here's the thing, you know, no matter what you think of The Amazing Spider-Man 1 or 2, I still think it's sad that we're never going to find out what happened next. You know, I don't know what the story was going to be, but I think this franchise had massive potential, and it's a shame we never got to see more of Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. You know, it would have been amazing to see him fight the Sinister Six. It would have been amazing to see him get the black suit. You know, that would have been so cool, and see how different that would look in that movie. And then we could have leaded up to Venom. Maybe Flash Thompson could have become Agent Venom at some point. I mean, there was a lot of possibilities with that franchise, but I guess maybe they rushed it too much and we just didn't get to that point. But now, of course, I think we are leading up to the Sinister Six in the MCU, and that is very exciting. We're unfortunately not going to see Tom Holland don the black suit anytime soon, but at least we're going to see Venom in another movie. I mean, I guess you got to think of it like that. So things didn't really pan out as well as we'd all hoped for the Amazing Spider-Man franchise, but it's always there to be rewatched. And, you know, like I said, I love the first movie. I really do. And I kind of want to watch it after this, to be honest, because talking about it has reminded me of how much I love it. It is a really great film. I've probably spoiled it for anyone who hasn't seen this movie, but I don't know why you're watching this if you haven't seen it. But yeah. Anyway, guys, I think I'm going to call it there. I've talked about this movie for long enough, but I just thought, you know, with it being 6 years since the release of the movie, I thought it would be a great excuse to try and make a character or a costume from this film and just have a long chat about the franchise. So I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Hopefully I haven't talked too much and bored you. Of course, if I have, feel free to click off the video. But hopefully you guys have found, you know, my insight into the Amazing Spider-Man franchise, my thoughts, my theories, you know, all that stuff. Hopefully you found it interesting and worth watching. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. Stay tuned for lots more videos real soon. And as always, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe.